Now we move on to U.S. Protests have erupted across multiple U.S. cities denouncing the U.S.-Israeli military campaign against Iran. Hundreds have rallied outside the Georgia state capitol in Atlanta, demanding an immediate end to the war. Protesters criticized the U.S. for its involvement, with some calling for a redirection of military funds to public services. In San Francisco, demonstrators condemned the escalating conflict, with one protester calling the invasion brutal and unlawful. Meanwhile, protests also took place near the U.S. Embassy in Manila, in Philippines, where an American flag was burned in opposition to the U.S.-Israeli strikes. The Philippine president has confirmed the death of a Filipino worker in Israel and urged citizens in conflict zones to seek shelter. Let's listen in.
The United States doesn't have the moral authority to determine, the democracy of any country. And actually, when we want to, talk about the U.S. role in Middle East, it's not to bring democracy or peace or freedom, but it's to exploit the people, exploit the land, and exploit the resources. So we oppose war with Iran, and we, want to, stand in solidarity with the majority of Americans who, of course, oppose this war.
Ever since I was a kid, the U.S. has been at war for whatever reason, and they always give us these excuses that we later find out are just completely made up. And this is clearly just the same playbook of weapons of mass destruction from the other wars in the Middle East. And it's the same kind of thing, and it's not for us, it's not for the Iranians, it's for Israel, and it's for the billionaires that profit off of this whole situation. So.
Now we welcome back Mr. Keith Vaz. He's joining us live from Dubai. Thank you very much, Mr. Vaz, for joining us again. What do you think about the opposition that's a voice also, of course, not just growing, but affecting, or we are seeing the surge around the world of that? And what do you think President Trump will have to say to justify his actions?
Well, the American people voted for Donald Trump. He is the elected leader, and therefore, when he takes action because he has a mandate. We have to be different from those countries that don't elect our leaders. We may not agree with them, and I think those people who've just spoken do not agree with Donald Trump. But the fact is, he's the elected leader of the United States. What matters in the United States is the issue of how do you keep your leaders in check, and that is through Congress. But Congress has not made a particular noise about this at this minute, and neither have any other elected officials, though the governors of individual states have. It's very partisan over there. Anything Donald Trump does, the Democrats disagree with. Anything Joe Biden did, the Republicans disagree with. So this will go on forever. That's the nature of democracy. The issue for the American people is they elected a president who was going to put America first. And therefore, I think that by nature, I agree with Daniela Bloom when she spoke. I don't think that Donald Trump wants war. However, the effect of it is that that's exactly what has happened. They are, I'm afraid, perpetrating this war, and there will be lives lost, Iranian lives and American lives and lives of people who live in the Gulf states. Nobody wants this war, really, honestly, except two countries. Well, one country in particular, Israel, because Israel fears for its security. So what we need to be doing is to reassure Israel that she is safe. And the best country that can do that, of course, is America. But what we also need to do is to keep the Gulf countries, the Gulf states, safe, and make sure that they don't suffer as a result of what's going on. The final thing is, as far as Iran is concerned, they have the government that their people want, in exactly the same way as Saudi Arabia. They have their own leaders, and they have to deal with their leaders. There is no world power that determines these matters. It can only be determined by the people of Iran. They must decide whether they're fed up with the current regime or they want it to carry on. But whatever happens, I think there has to be respect for sovereignty. And the other issue is, I think the people here where I am at the moment in the UAE are worried. They're going about their business, but the number of cars on the streets in Dubai, anyone who's been to Dubai will know traffic is a big problem. It's quite easy to get around because people are staying at home. People are worried. And therefore, It's important that this is brought to a conclusion swiftly. The question is, who is the honest broker in all this? Who is going to bring the sides together? And I think Saudi Arabia has a big role to play in this, because although the American bases have been attacked, the Saudi Arabian people have not been attacked. What's happened in Dubai is, as the drones go over towards the American airbase, the UAE authorities launch attacks on the missiles themselves. And when they come down, they fall on places like the Palm, the Fairmont Hotel, and other places of that kind. So this is a moving story. It is literally breaking news, because it changes every minute. For example, we were told this morning that we could board a flight tomorrow. We're now being told that flights have been cancelled. Nobody knows what's going on. So it is essential that there should be some kind of closure on this. And that best happens when people stop bombing other people and countries are left to determine their own futures.
Thank you very much for sharing that deep insight with us and staying with us throughout, Mr. Raz. Thank you. Now we have a breaking news coming in from Lebanon. Lebanese Hezbollah has claimed responsibility for targeting 3 Israeli military bases in retaliation for